Bloomberg, right, Doug? Thank you, Ed. Let's take a look now at some of the news that broke after the bell here in the U.S. We begin with Alphabet. The company, obviously the parent of Google, reported that quarterly revenue and profit from its cloud business is below estimates. And this has raised a bit of concern since the market has looked to the cloud unit at Alphabet to take the lead. You know, Alphabet is the third largest player in this market behind Amazon and Microsoft. Here is Bloomberg's Mandeep Singh.
Cloud, a little bit of a letdown, but not surprised given, everyone right now is talking about generative AI and they are kind of making it.
By the way, these disappointing cloud results seem to mar an otherwise healthy report for revenue up 13%. So we're talking about total top line, $56.5 billion. That was above estimates. And this represents Microsoft's longest sales gain in 6 quarters. The company's new artificial intelligence products really prompting corporate customers to spend. Here's James Kakmak. He is tech analyst at Clockwise Capital.
Yeah, the big thing there is that you continue to see resilience on the cloud side, while the legacy parts of their business anniversary the tougher comps and come out stronger. So, and at the same time, while being able to manage the bottom line, and obviously the juggernaut, 10%, of the queues, and so it's a big way for stock to the market. But the main thing is that the growth sector factor continues to be where the money will likely continue to flow and coming out of the value area.
He is James Kakmak, tech analyst at Clockwise Capital. By the way, Microsoft shares right now higher by nearly 4% in the late U.S. session. We also heard from Texas Instruments after the bell. It's a disappointing revenue forecast for the third quarter. We have more from Bloomberg's Charlie Pellet. It indicates that demand remains sluggish for a broad range of electronic components, including industrial equipment. TI said revenue in the fourth quarter will be $3.93 to $4.27 billion. Now that compares to analyst estimate of $4.49 billion. The outlook bodes poorly for a chip industry that is trying to recover from a punishing slowdown. Texas Instruments has the broadest list of customers in the semiconductor industry, making its forecasts a bellwether for demand across the economy. In New York, Charlie Pellet, Bloomberg Radio. And shares in Texas Instruments right now down by more than 4% in the late U.S. session. And Snap reported after the bell. The company returned to revenue growth in the latest quarter after 2 periods of declines. This comes after the company spent much of the year working to revamp its ad business for that Snapchat app. It already has more than 5 million subscribers. Separately, Snap said it's seen a large number of brand-focused ad campaigns pause in the third quarter after the beginning of war between Israel and Hamas. And Snap went on to say this delay could continue into Q4. Shares in Snap little changed in the late U.S. session. China is stepping up its support of the domestic economy with massive debt issuance. Joanne Wong in Hong Kong.
China's legislature approved a plan to raise the fiscal deficit ratio for 2023 to about 3.8% of GDP. Xinhua said the plan would include issuing additional sovereign debt worth $137 billion in the fourth quarter. The additional debt will be used to support disaster relief and construction. China has barely adjusted its budget mid-year. The last time was in 2008 in the aftermath of the Sichuan earthquake. The latest budget revision shows that top leaders are concerned about China's economic outlook. Just yesterday, President Xi Jinping made what thought to be his first ever visit to the central bank since he became president. In Hong Kong, Joanne Wong, Bloomberg Radio.
It's daybreak Asia. We're at 11 minutes past the hour. Let's take a look at the economic impact right now of war in Israel. Our guest is Hen Arad, Chief External Affairs Officer at Solidus Labs, who joins us from here in New York. Hen, thanks for being with us. I'm sorry it's under these circumstances. What's your assessment right now?
For having me.
I noticed that S&P today, Global cut the credit outlook for Israel to negative. And I'm wondering about how you're assessing the economic impact of this unfortunate situation in Israel and Gaza.
Yeah, no, thank you, and I should say that I am Israeli, so obviously speaking with my own biases on the situation, and as you said, within the past hour, we've seen S&P actually circulated, an announcement that it is downgrading the credit outlook for Israel. So, I mean, look, this is, if you talk to any Israeli, they tell you that no one remains unchanged after this very dramatic situation. I think it's fair to say that the most important thing to keep in mind is that how bad this is going to be for the economy, both locally in Israel and globally. It depends on how this is going to develop, whether Israel will, continue into a ground invasion of the Gaza Strip, which seems quite certain, and whether other countries, specifically Iran, is going to get involved directly, which seems less certain. Generally, I mean, the mood in Israel itself, economically speaking, is negative. The Bank of Israel just yesterday, trimmed its expectations for economic growth from 3%, which Israel was in line to 2.3 in 2023, and also from 3% to 2.8 next year. This ultimately is a result of multiple factors, including just a general shock, a decrease in 12% of credit card spending, a lot of the labor force that is currently called up for reserves, I think almost 400,000 people. And I can say as a business owner that, we feel it, but there's also a lot of resilience. And, historically, Israel has responded quite resiliently to conflicts and crises, all the way from, cycles of violence with the Gaza Strip to COVID. So, there's a lot to be concerned about, but also, a lot of hope that that the country will be able to get through this safely as well. And obviously, that would positively reflect on what the impact might be globally.
Yeah, interest rates, I think the central bank left rates at the highest level since 2006, despite the likely toll that this war is going to have on the impact of the economy. I think maybe it's fair to say right now, job one is to defend the currency after it fell to an 11-year low. Where are you looking at in terms of trade relations right now? What are some of the most important trading partners that Israel has at the moment?
Well, Israel, has a very strong element of Israel's exports. I believe around 50% is its tech sector, which is obviously quite dramatic. And that the Israeli tech industry, did well through COVID, and is, generally, obviously tech allows people to continue working even when, there's crisis outside. So hopefully it won't be affected too much, although every company in Israel is affected to some degree. Obviously, Israel's kind of strongest, trade relations is generally with the European Union, which is generally, supports Israel during this conflict. So, it's hard to say at the moment how it will be impacted. We have seen some impact on Israel, the Israeli-operated Tamar gas, essentially Israel's natural gas production, which is quite significant. So that might be impacted, but at the moment it's it's hard to say how severely trade relations are going to be impacted.
So when we look at the number of reservists that have been called back into action, are you able to measure the impact that that's going to have on the labor market?
Well, look, I can tell you, we are a global company with offices in a number of places. Our largest office, of products and research and R&D is in Israel, and a significant amount, a significant percentage of our, team, has been called up for reserve. There is an impact, but obviously there's also a lot of solidarity, both in Israel and with our teams globally who are stepping in to support those who had to join reserves. A lot of the Israeli tech industry is very deeply connected with intelligence, armed military, and that's where kind of a lot of that specific industry has been affected. But so everyone is feeling it. It's hard to say just how much, and again, it very much depends on how long and how wide this conflict is going to evolve. In the sense of if the moment, a lot of those reservists were called up, to enforce some of Israel's other border beyond the Gaza Strip, in addition to those who, are around the Gaza Strip, and that, if conflict breaks out, if more intensive conflict breaks out also on the Lebanon border, for example, that means that people are going to be out for much longer. So obviously you feel it with so many people. I know companies where 20 and 30% of their staff, have been called out. So, it's significant.
And very quickly, in about 45 seconds or so, in terms of the government possibly putting some kind of massive wartime stimulus program into effect to help with the economy overall, but I'm sure there's a lot more that's going to have to be called upon in terms of military spending. Would you expect
approaching a railroad crossing
program?
Generally the answer is yes. Israelis expect the government to step in. I think there's a big part of the, some people refer to what's going on in Israel right now as an emotional crisis, an emotional economic crisis as well, like a loss of trust in the government, and the government, is expected to step up and get involved. It has done so quite effectively during COVID, for example, and, this is, a significantly more dramatic situation. So, yes, a lot of and some aid has already been given out, but a more comprehensive stimulus package is definitely in order, and something that Israelis are expecting, and therefore we believe, will ultimately take shape.
And I appreciate your time.
approaching a railroad crossing.
Their Chief External Officer for Solidus Labs, joining from here in New York on a Daybreak Asia. As we get ready for trading in Tokyo and in Seoul, we'll update markets next. This is Bloomberg. Now, your 3-day weather forecast on Bloomberg 960.
Skies without the Joe partly cloudy for tonight, along with a chance of some fog, especially for the North Bay. It'll be breezy at times as well, 45 to 55 by daybreak Wednesday. For Wednesday, any sun followed by clouds again, 65 to 70, breezy, cool at night in the 40s, and mostly sunny and breezy and cool weather for Thursday and Friday, high temperature generally sitting in the mid-60s. This is Gary Best with your 3-day weather forecast on Bloomberg 960.
Get the news you need to start your day in just 15 minutes.
The latest headline on the war between Israel and Hamas.
We're continuing to follow the trial of Sam Bankman-Fried.
Wake up with Bloomberg Daybreak, U.S. edition.
The latest developments on the battle for the Speaker of the House.
Judy Fastens from Jalen Hurd. Available now on your podcast feed. Each weekday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern. The United Auto Workers strike drags on. Subscribe to Bloomberg Daybreak, U.S. edition today on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcasts. Bloomberg Radio. Context changes everything.
Pop culture is always evolving, and those changes impact our lives in ways that are both visible and not so obvious. I'm Lucas Shaw, and I cover the business of pop culture for Bloomberg. My job is to uncover how entertainment is changing and explain what that means for you. Because context changes how you see things, how you change things. Context changes everything. Start exploring my coverage and more at Bloomberg.com.
America is strong, and today's investments in essential American infrastructure make it even stronger. Build America Mutual only insures U.S. municipal bonds, providing an added layer of security to improve any portfolio with guaranteed income that helps investors reach their goals. Be part of building America. Build a better portfolio. Invest in BAM-insured bonds.
This program is brought to you by the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation, who believe high-risk, high-reward research is the best way to make strides against cancer. Damon Runyon identifies brave and bold scientists and provides them with resources to make the next breakthrough in cancer research, ensuring the most brilliant and audacious scientific minds are singularly focused on this goal. Learn more about Damon Runyon's brave and bold approach at damonrunyon.org.
Are you a wirehouse advisor that's looking to break away? Commonwealth Financial Network can help you take control of your career and build your business on your terms. Your clients, your strategy, your time. Unleash your entrepreneurial spirit and choose the growth path that's right for you. Own your future with Commonwealth. To learn more, visit commonwealth.com. Commonwealth Financial Network, member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor.
Breaking news first. War in the Middle East.
The death toll continues to rise in the Israel-Hamas war.
World leaders continue to travel to the war zone, urging restraint.
The United States saying that they're deploying more military hardware and assets throughout the region.
The question is, what does the mood feel like in Israel as time goes on?
The civilian population needs to be protected, and this is not happening.
The latest headlines on the Israel-Hamas war.
Stay with Bloomberg 960. Context changes everything. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, on Bloomberg Television, and the Bloomberg Business app. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
Hi, everybody. 21 minutes past the hour. Bloomberg Daybreak Asia is brought to you by Command Financial, the preferred automated solutions provider of the investment company industry. To learn more, visit commandfinancial.com today. Well, Israel's credit outlook has been cut to negative by S&P Global Ratings. S&P cited the war with Hamas, saying that could spread more widely and could have a bigger effect on the Israeli economy than expected. Asian equities look set to move higher today. Earlier, the S&P 500 in New York rebounded after a 5-day slide, and then after the bell, tech earnings whipsawed after hours trading. Microsoft gained after a strong report, but Alphabet and Texas Instruments fell. Treasury 10-year yields edged a little bit lower. Oil slid below $84 a barrel. Bitcoin up over 35,000 at one point, trading now 33,936. Actually, yields at the short end of the curve were up 6 basis points. Yields down for the 10-year to 4.82%, and that is a check of markets. Let's get now to Doug Prisner in New York.
Thanks, Brian. Well, we heard from Microsoft after the bell. The company reported stronger than expected first quarter sales. Let's take a closer look now with Dina Bass, Bloomberg News, technology, and AI reporter joining us from Seattle. Dina, it's always a pleasure. From what I understand, much of the credit here goes to growth in cloud computing. Can you help me understand exactly what's happening with the cloud unit at Microsoft?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, for the last year and a half, we've been worrying a bit about both the overall growth rate at Microsoft and the growth rate in the cloud unit. Both have been kind of sliding. And what happened in the quarter they just reported is a significant amount of stability in that Azure cloud business. The unit came in with growth higher than the company had forecast. Although it's early days, they are reporting strength related to some of the artificial intelligence products that they're selling, including a cloud service they sell, which lets Azure customers use OpenAI's model.
How does that work exactly? Can you explain that to me?
Sure. So if you want to use OpenAI's models, like, for example, ChatGPT or the model that underlies it, GPT-4, you can go to OpenAI, and they have some ways that companies, corporate users can use it, but you can also get it through Microsoft, as a cloud service. So it's stored in Microsoft's data centers, and you, the customer, get access to this AI model in order to build it into your own products. And they call that service Azure OpenAI. They reported at this point they have 18,000 organizations using that, and it's been growing at a steady clip. The last quarter that they reported, prior to this, they had 11,000.
Has this company addressed the issue of security? I think there was an issue with the federal government here in the U.S., an email system that was somehow penetrated by what we were told at the time. Some organization connected to the Chinese government. Was that addressed at all, or has that been addressed, the issue of security?
That happened back in the late spring, and that wouldn't be something they would address in the earnings call. They addressed the security implications of that and what they were doing to get to the bottom of it at the time. What they did talk about today was actually the flip side of that, which is their security business, where they sell security software that's meant to protect you from some of the bad guys that you're discussing. And they said that they were taking share in the security business across all categories of security software.
In terms of